वेलकम ऑल। आई होप यू आर ऑल डूइंग वेल। चलिए आज क्विज खेलेंगे और हम टेस्ट करेंगे हमारी नॉलेज अबाउट मेंडलिज्म। सो ऑल सेट, जल्दी से अपना पेपर और पेन ले आइए। आज क्विज फॉर अ चेंज एमसीक्यूज आपको प्रोवाइडेड होंगे। सो विद ईच क्वेश्चन आई विल प्रोवाइड द आंसर ऑल्सो। सो बी ऑनेस्ट while attempting क्वेश्चन के साथ आपको जस्ट एज सुन एज आई फिनिश काउंट ऑफ 5 आप अपना अटेम्प्ट करेंगे। सो हियर वी गो। टोटल 20 क्वेश्चंस हैं। So the first question on the screen is the term gene was introduced by Mendel, Bettison, Johansson or Morgan. The time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the answer is the term gene was given by Johnson. Next question. Which of the following is not a characteristic of Mendel's pea plant that made them suitable for his experiments? Number 1, they had easily observable traits. B, they had a short generation time. C, they were self-pollinating. Or D, they were difficult to cross-pollinate. Not a characteristic of Mendel's pea plant. Okay, so the correct answer is they were difficult to cross-pollinate. Well, मेंडल का सक्सेस इसीलिए हुआ था क्योंकि इजीली ऑब्जर्वेबल 7 कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग ट्रेट्स उन्होंने चूज करी थी। देन द पी प्लांट इट हैज अ शॉर्ट जनरेशन टाइम, एक ही सीजन में आपको 2 जनरेशंस मिल जाती हैं। लार्ज नंबर ऑफ सीड्स ऑब्टेन होते हैं। पेंटामेरस फ्लावर है इसका, पी प्लांट का क्लोज्ड फ्लावर होता है जिसकी वजह से सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन पॉसिबल है और इसीलिए उनको ट्रू ब्रीडिंग varieties every generation after generation मिल रही थी. But we can also cross pollinate this plant, right, by emasculation, and cross pollination feasible है, आराम से हो जाती है. So this answer, this choice here is wrong. Next question. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, next question. In a dihybrid cross involving two independently assorting genes, how many different genotypes and phenotypes are typically observed in the F2 generation? Question को ध्यान से देखेंगे, dihybrid cross है, ठीक है, तो कितने genotypes और phenotypes possible होंगे F2 generation में? Your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The correct answer is 9 genotypes and 4 phenotypes. All right. 9:3:3:1 की ratio आती है F2 generation में. So this ratio corresponds to 4 phenotypes. Next question. Which of the Mendel's laws is considered to be universally accepted law of inheritance without any known exceptions? Okay, so the correct answer is law of segregation. Law of dominance तो है ही नहीं, it is actually principle of dominance, और क्योंकि ये law हर जगह universally applicable नहीं है, so we have all sorts of non-Mendelian genetics. Then law of independent assortment का भी exception है जिसे हम कहते हैं concept of linkage, right? There is no law of reciprocity as such. So the correct answer is law of segregation, which is universally applicable, acceptable, which says that during the formation of gametes, जो chromosomes हैं वो segregate होते हैं, likewise alleles भी gametes में separate out होते हैं. Next question. In a monohybrid cross, what is the phenotypic ratio in the F2 generation? Monohybrid cross है, phenotypic ratio क्या होगी F2 generation में? Okay, the correct answer is 3:1. See, a homozygous tall को जब हम homozygous recessive से क्रॉस करेंगे तो F1 जनरेशन में हमें heterozygous tall मिलेगा, ठीक है, कैपिटल T एंड स्मॉल t. जब हम इसकी सेल्फिंग करेंगे राइट, कैपिटल टी स्मॉल टी को कैपिटल टी स्मॉल टी से क्रॉस करेंगे तो हमें एक तो 1:2:1 की रेशियो मिलेगी विच इज द जीनोटिपिक रेशियो, जिसमें 1 represents the homozygous doll, 2 represents heterozygous doll, and the last one represents the homozygous dwarf, right? But here I'm asking you about the phenotypic ratio in F2 generation. So we get 3 plants as tall phenotype and 1 as dwarf phenotypes. The correct answer here is 3:1. Genotypic ratio would be 1:2:1, but the phenotypic ratio would be 3:1. Next question. Identify the correct match between scientists and their contribution. So scientists are Gregor Mendel, Johansson, William Bateson, Nilsson Ellie. Contributions are polygenic inheritance, term genetics, fundamentals of heredity, and the term gene. Now you have to match the scientist with their correct contribution. Yes, quick, pen it down. I hope it's done. So the correct answer is Gregor Mendel ने दिए हैं fundamentals of heredity. The laws of heredity have been formulated by Gregor Mendel, and as such he is known as father of classical genetics. Johansson ने term gene coin किया था. William Bateson ने term genetics दी है, and Nilsson Ellie is connected with polygenic inheritance. Next question. Which statement about alleles is not true? So you have to pick up the false statement here, incorrect statement, sorry. There may be several lateral locus. B, one may be dominant over the another. C, they may show incomplete dominance. The third, 4 choices, they occupy different loci on the same chromosome. So you have to select the incorrect statement of all these. Okay, so the correct answer is they occupy different loci on the same chromosome. Alleles जो हैं हमेशा क्रोमोसोम के same locus पे ही होते हैं. That is why they are called as alleles, alternate forms of one gene. One gene के 2 forms are called as alleles. Next question. What is the test cross used for? या significance क्या है test cross का? A, to determine the genotype of an individual showing a dominant phenotype. B, to determine the phenotype of an individual showing a recessive phenotype. C, to determine the number of genes controlling a trait. Or D, to determine the number of chromosomes in a cell. So what is the function of or significance of performing a test cross? Okay, so the correct answer is that test cross is used to determine the phenotype of an individual showing a recessive phenotype. Name the scientist who rediscovered Mendel's work after his death. Darwin, B. Watson, C. Crick, or D. De Vries, Correns, and Teschmark. Who rediscovered Mendel's work? So the correct answer is De Vries, Correns, and Teschmark. Next question. In a reciprocal cross, the primary purpose is to A, determine the dominance of a trait, B, identify sex-linked inheritance patterns, C, study the effects of environmental factors, or D, analyze the number of offspring produced. What is the reciprocal cross used for? So the correct answer is to identify sex-linked inheritance patterns, because a reciprocal cross will give different results in the sex-linked linkage. Next question. If a trait is found to be autosomal, the results of a reciprocal cross will be A, identical for both crosses, B, different for both crosses, C, dependent on the environment, or D, not observable. If a trait is autosomal, तो reciprocal cross का क्या result आएगा? Well, the answer is that it will be identical for both crosses. Autosomal genes हैं, तो reciprocal cross में आप sex को interchange करेंगे तो रिजल्ट सेम रहेगा, बट इन एक्स लिंक्ड लिंकेज द रिजल्ट विल बी डिफरेंट. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Genes controlling 7 traits in garden P studied by Mendel were actually located on how many chromosomes? A. 7 chromosomes, B. 6 chromosomes, C. 5 chromosomes, or D. 4 chromosomes? The correct answer is 4 chromosomes. 4 chromosomes थे chromosome 1 जिसके ऊपर जीन थी सीड कलर और फ्लावर कलर की. देन क्रोमोसोम 4 जिसके ऊपर 3 जीन्स थी, प्लांट हाइट, flower की position, and the pod shape. Then chromosome number 5, it had the gene for pod color, and chromosome number 7, it had the gene for seed shape. तो ये जो 7 contrasting traits थे जिनको मेंडल ने स्टडी किया, they were located on 4 chromosomes, chromosome number 1, chromosome number 4, chromosome number 5, and chromosome number 7. Next question. The alleles of a gene do not show any blending, and both the characters are recovered as such in the F2 generation. This statement is which law? A. Law of dominance. B. Law of segregation. C. Law of independent assortment. Or D. Principle of purity of gametes. Okay, the correct answer is law of segregation, which states that the genes, they do not blend. Instead, while formation of gametes, both the characters, they separate, and subsequently in the F2 generation, both the characters are again recovered. And this is only possible when the genes, they do not mix, they do not blend. Next question. Which one of those given below is the period for Mendel's hybridization experiment? मेंडल ने अपने हाइब्रिडाइजेशन एक्सपेरिमेंट कौन से ईयर से कौन से ईयर के अंदर परफॉर्म किए थे? ए 1856 to 1863, बी 1840 to 1850, सी 1857 to 1869, और डी 1870 to 1877. Well, the correct answer is that he performed his experiments between 1856 to 1863. The question could also be कि century based आ सकता है कि कौन सी century में मेंडल ने अपने experiments किए थे. So the answer would be 19th century. Next question. In P, a pure tall plant represented by capital T and capital T is crossed with a short plant small t and small t. What will be the ratio of pure tall plants to pure short plants in the F2 generation? आपको cross बना के देखना पड़ेगा. So I give you some time on the count of 10. So hurry up. Pure tall plant को हम cross कर रहे हैं एक short plant से. तो pure tall plant to pure short plants की ratio क्या मिलेगी आपको F2 generation में? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, the correct answer is 1:1. एक ही आपको प्योर होमोजाइगस टॉल मिलेगा, एक ही आपको प्योर homozygous recessive milega. So we are just talking about the pure ones. We have to not consider the hybrids that we are getting here. Next question. According to Mendel, a heritable feature that varies among individuals is called as A. Factor, B. Gene, C. Character, or D. Allelomorph. A heritable feature is called as, well, the answer is character. तो उन्होंने term use किया था character for a heritable feature, और उस या trait कह सकते हैं, और उसके जो contrastic forms थे उनके लिए उन्होंने word use किया था factors. ठीक है, तो gene was character को आगे हम जानते हैं as gene, और जो फैक्टर टर्म उन्होंने यूज किया था उसको अब हम जानते हैं एज एलिलोमॉर्फ या एलील. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. इफ एनी ऑफस्प्रिंग डिस्प्ले द रिसेसिव phenotype, the parents must be A. both homozygous recessive, B. both homozygous dominant, C, both heterozygous, D, one parent would be homozygous recessive and the other one would be heterozygous. अगर एक ऑफस्प्रिंग का होमोजाइगस रिसेसिव फिनोटाइप आ रहा है तो उसके पेरेंट्स का फिनोटाइप क्या होना चाहिए? Well, the correct answer is both will be heterozygous. ठीक है? Any offspring पूछा है. Any means probabilities like one offspring of so many may pure recessive या homozygous recessive phenotype किसका होगा? It would be only possible when both the parents are heterozygote. So each one will be contributing one recessive allele and the offspring will be homozygous recessive. Next question. The explanation of the wrinkled shape of the seed can be contrasting trait था round shape dominant and the wrinkled shape being recessive. तो ये wrinkled shape क्यों हो जाती थी seed की? A is caused by a mutation in the gene encoding starch branching enzyme 1 जिसको हम SBE1 कहते हैं, especially by the insertion of a transposon like element. B, the mutation disrupts the normal synthesis of starch, leading to a higher proportion of sucrose in the developing seed. C, the higher sucrose concentration, it increases the osmotic pressure within the seed, which leads to increased water uptake and therefore cell expands or cell swells up. As the seed matures and it dries, the excess water is lost and the seed coat shrinks, resulting in the wrinkled phenotype. D is all the above choices are correct. Well, the answer is the all choices, above choices are correct. Next, find the correct pair. ध्यान से करेंगे. A, dominant is white flower and the recessive is purple flower. B, dominant is terminal floral position and recessive is axial floral position. C, dominant is green pod color and recessive is yellow pod color. D, dominant is green seed color and recessive is yellow seed color. So you have to identify the correct pair. Well, the correct answer is the dominant is green pod color, which is dominant over the recessive yellow pod color. Next question, and the last question. Which of the Mendel's law is also known as law of purity of gametes? A, the law of segregation. B, law of independent assortment. C, law of incomplete dominance. Or D, law of dominance. The law of purity of gametes is the law of segregation. So be honest and just evaluate how many questions you got correct. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you and stay blessed.